The recall effort to remove District Attorney of the County of Alameda, California, Pamela Price, recall team kicks off its signature collection. We're getting this process going. This is just like the Chesa Boudin, the District Attorney of San Francisco. We're electing him. Oh, let's get him out of here. Oh God, we elected another progressive. Oh God, we got to get him out of here. Let's do another recall. That's what we got going on down in San Francisco. Let's get into it. Here we go. You know, I hate to point out the obvious here, but if you just elected people who weren't quite so, progressive, maybe you wouldn't have the safety issues that you're experiencing right now, right? I mean, Seattle has gone down at least a couple of roads of moderates. And we've even got a couple of people that arguably are a little bit in the red zone, if you know what I mean. They are far less blue than what you're seeing in San Francisco. And it has helped a lot. I'm not saying Seattle's got, is out of the woods by any means. I was watching some hip hop podcast, and they were talking about they're from LA and they'd come up to Seattle and they're like, Seattle is rough. Everybody is strapped in Seattle. The producer, they were just going down the line of everybody they came up to record an album, whatever it is, record their next track. So, artists. And they were just talking about everybody is strapped because in Seattle, if you're in that community, there's some shooting going on, and it's the way it is. So is Seattle rougher than LA? No, but I think people are kind of surprised when they come up here and go, we thought you were a little bit of a backwater. Things are just, people just go into the woods and look at the trees and it's all good. Now, we got the same kind of criminal element everywhere, especially when you're considering we are a big blue city. We got crime out the ass. We just do. But it's segregated to certain areas, right? It's like, okay, this is where the majority of shootings happen and people die. All right. This is where the open air drug markets are. This little block right here. And then this stretch of the International District is just horrific. And that's all the content that you see on all the little shorts. You will see literally Pike and Pine on 3rd Avenue, and you'll see the International District, South Jackson Street and 12th Avenue South. Those are your two major areas. And then you've got Aurora Avenue in Seattle. You've got these known areas, right? Signature collection began this week in the effort to recall District Attorney Pamela Price with a public kickoff event planned Sunday for those who wish to sign, organizers announced. Price recall proponents said that they have until March 5th, 2024 to collect more than 73,000 signatures, which they expect will cost about $2 million. That seems like a lot of money to get some pens on paper for a situation that is just wildly obvious. But you got to remember, this is the city that elected Pamela Price, right? This is the county that elected Pamela Price. Yeah. The same city that gave Chesa Boudin the boot. I mean, that whole thing with Chesa Boudin, it was just like, well, what did you think was going to happen when that dude whose parents spent, 40 years in prison, some crazy number like that, due to essentially terrorism? What did you think was going to happen there? And then my whole point on this Pamela Price recall, crime has gone up in San Francisco, and it's not shocking. It's gone up in Alameda County in general, right? But what did you think was going to happen when you hire somebody who's a progressive and is, basically looking to go the other direction, not hold people accountable? Let's keep going. Carl Chan and Brenda Grisham, they're leading the effort to recall Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price. They held a press conference Thursday morning to provide updates on the campaign. It's still early on. But I have hope, and I'll tell you why here in a second. They said the lack of accountability for repeat offenders and Price's treatment of victims and their families drove them to push for a recall. Everybody knows San Francisco is wildly out of control. Even Joe Rogan from down in Austin is, you've seen that video, right? With Iglesias, whatever his name is, not Julio, and he's an actor, Hispanic actor. He's funny. So is Joe Rogan. When Joe gets on a run, he's damn funny. I'm not a huge fan of the Joe Rogan stand-up comedy, but I think it's because I'm so used to him in the podcast format. And I've listened to so many of his podcasts, and he comes across as just this guy who would ring your bell if you got in the ring with him, and he would. But then in kind of his gruff way, he brings up these points and you're like, where did Joe get that from? You know what I mean? So Rogan has this segment, and I've played it here on the YouTube, and he basically talks about how crazy crime is. So I don't think everybody in the United States understands the whole, and issue that the San Francisco and the Bay Area and that has. One of the updates I would say to Oakland right now is that they arrested 2 of the pirates that were coming in on little skiffs. And, you got this massive tributary area in the Bay, and they were coming in, and they're hoping that these 2 pirates, the pirates of Oakland, of East Bay, they caught them, and they're hoping that they can pin a bunch of the criminal activity on them, because things are just not going well as far as that goes, because Oakland's got they've got uno dude that handles the marine protection. So the recall committee says this is not politics. It's about public safety, Chan said. Oh, right. But this is what Alameda County wanted. This is what they voted for. So you get what you pay for, and then you have a recall effort. I say, you know what? I say I'm fine with the recall because it gets somebody out of office that I think shouldn't have been there, period. Just like, what are you even doing? Oh, but if you hire him, if you vote him in, I think you should have to just sit in your own poop and just, all right, this is what we got, and just go through the whole term. I do. Because it doesn't seem like people are learning. The amazing place where I point to that is Let's Go Brandon Johnson in Chicago. I mean, hiring that guy as mayor is, to me, it makes absolute sense, because just like Alameda County here, well, you know what? We got to give these people just a little more time, and then their progressive ideology is really going to get traction, and it's going to go somewhere. It's going to take off. It's just going to it's to the moon. It's all going to be better, because when you don't hold anybody accountable and you just let everybody go, and there's no, essentially there's no crime anymore for people to go to jail for, you don't hold anybody accountable, it's going to work out just fine. And that is what Alameda County is experiencing. So, kind of like Good Will Hunting, how you like them apples, right? That was a great scene. What we really want is people to be held accountable, Grisham added. It's a grassroots fight to make a difference. How about you just vote the people in? And that's the point of this podcast and so many others. It's, you get what you pay for. This is what you wanted. So I think you got to hunker down and take it. You got to take the beat down. Because, who politics down in the Bay Area is just so, you are watching a city unwind because of progressive politics. That's what you're doing. Here in Washington, no different. We've had a bunch of rallies, pro-Palestinian rallies. And I understand you may not be on the whole Israel side, but this reaction to, what Hamas did is kind of like, Okay. Yeah, this is problematic. That was horrific. And now you're at University of Washington, where I went to school, where my son graduated. And you're, basically celebrating an invasion and atrocities. Okay. All right. Only in Western Washington, right? Could you imagine if the Proud Boys got up there and did something akin to that? They would never get up there, would they? They would never get out there. And I'm throwing out the Proud Boys as kind of a known quantity on the far right. They would never, ever set foot on the UW campus and be allowed to do that. They would just be marched off. It would be, no, you can't come here. Where instead you've basically got people celebrating terrorism in Western Washington, and not just at UW, in the city of Kirkland or Costco, Kirkland brand, that Kirkland in the city of Kirkland just whitewashed the entire event. It was mostly peaceful. And you see videos of people just literally duking it out on the streets. And then you did have one here in Bellevue, but Bellevue kind of just, you got a bunch of police. And so there's going to be no shenanigans, right? Whereas over at UW, it's a hands-off thing. It's more like Seattle. It's a hands-off. We'll just see what happens with the animals in the cages here. See how this goes. I'm sure it'll be fine. So Pamela Price supporters, this is what they're saying. And you know what? I agree with them. This is when you got to be reasonable and you just got to be objective and say, what do we got going on? Well, jackoffs, you elected a progressive, and now this individual is doing what they campaigned on, and you're upset about it? Okay. All right. Let's hear what they say anyway, though, right? Pamela Price supporters say she is doing what she was elected to do by reducing charging, okay, and sentencing and working to seek alternatives to incarceration. Essentially just letting people go. There's no repercussions for actions. So you commit a crime in San Fran, commit a crime in Oakland, that entire area. Yeah. Anything goes, right? Anything goes. You're not going to do any time. Probably not going to have a record. In fact, you're probably just going to be given a participation ribbon and sent back out into the wild and said, do better next time. We don't want to see you for at least 12 hours. 12 hours. Her campaign has said that the recall effort is driven by outside special interest groups who are trying to seize control from local voters because they refuse to accept the results of a legitimate democratic election to remove the status quo. You know what? I agree with that statement. That is exactly what's happening. Now, I don't blame the outside special interest groups because they did not vote for this individual, but a majority of said residents of Alameda County did. So I say they sit in their own poop and think about it till the next election. But we're not doing that. We've got momentum. We had the Chesa Boudin thing, but we couldn't get out Gavin Newsom. He still seems to be running around doing his thing. Am I running for president? Am I not? Am I supporting Biden? Am I not? How about the Biden deal where he's like, I can't believe that that I've lived long enough or existed long enough to see the beheading of children and witness, the atrocities. And so people took that as, literally, because he literally did say that. When he said that, I saw the press conference. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So he's seen proof that has happened, because clearly he's, at the White House and he's not in Israel. So, we've got proof of this and President Biden has seen it. Well, then the White House backs off that. Well, he didn't really see it, but, he saw it from the standpoint of he's been told about it, that somebody else has seen it. Therefore, he saw it. I mean, that guy can muck up the most basic of situations and just say stuff that he wants so badly to be. I'd like to have seen it. But I didn't. Gosh darn it. And they called me out on it again. Before internet and before all this instantaneous fact checking, Biden said a lot of stuff, right? That just didn't make any sense. It's like, no. But most people didn't have the skill set back in the day to be able to go, let me get out that book or that newspaper or that magazine and let me fact check that. Hold on, let me run to the library. Off you go running. Didn't have that. I mean, that's what investigative reporting used to be, right? Now you just bring up your little phone and you bunk, your search engine in there. And nope. Biden was not alive when he said, there's so many of those fact check type deals. So the Price campaign has not responded to repeated requests for comment and has not posted online about the recall since late August. What are they going to say? Yeah, you're coming after our gal. You're coming after her. All right, we got it. All right, we'll just see what goes on. A related Protect the Win campaign effort to support Price is also underway. You're always going to have this, right? The back and forth, the yin and the yang. Thursday's press conference took place at 1711 International Boulevard in Oakland, where Sunday's signature collection event will also happen. The small storefront at Suite 103 is the home of Christopher Lavelle Jones Foundation Resource Office. These big long names. The nonprofit Grisham formed after her son was killed in Oakland. Grisham said that she now holds classes and therapy groups at the Resource Center and believed it would be an appropriate place for Sunday's event. It's making it more personal to the fight that we're fighting, she said. Many families who have lost loved ones to gun violence in Alameda County have joined the recall effort and will be present at Sunday's event, which runs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Organizers said there will be security as well as information tables and voter registration at the event, which will take place outdoors. The campaign, dubbed Save Alameda for Everyone, SAFE. That's where I first started seeing that. I'm like, good. At least they got an acronym that was short and made sense. Save Alameda for Everyone, SAFE. They filed its notice of intent to pursue the recall in August, and it was approved to begin signature collection 2 weeks ago. On Thursday morning, Grisham said 1,900 people have already signed up as recall volunteers. 1,900 people. That seems like a lot, right? And the 70,000 something signatures, that can't be that hard to get in a city the size of, of this metropolitan area. Can't be that hard, right? I mean, that seems minimal. I've heard from Livermore. I've heard from Dublin. I've heard from Pleasanton, Fremont, she said. We have a lot of people that are behind what we're doing and they're ready to step up. Professional signature gatherers began their work 3 days ago, Chan said. Chan said he's printed 1,000 petition forms that he'll give out to local businesses. Let's get down to the good stuff here, right? Okay. So the most of the money, the $2 million will go towards paid signature collection, paying people to stand out there. Hey, how do you feel about crime? Do you feel more or safe after Pamela Price is elected as our county district attorney? Oh, less safe? Would you mind signing this petition to have her recalled from office? You're going to pay $2 million mainly for that, right? All right, so we got the scanner stuff going on, reviving the Bay Area. All right, here is Dreyfus, who was listed along with Carl Chan and Brenda Grisham on the original recall paperwork, is a partner at Farallon Capital and was a major donor in the successful recall of former San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin. So we've got precedent here, folks. This is off to a swimming start, right? All right. We're 1 for 1 on that campaign. Let's go 2 for 2. Let's see if we get Pamela Price out. I think this one, and the article goes on to say a bunch of stuff. This person donated this to that. Could not care less. End result, I want to see this individual out for the reasonable folks in San Francisco, Oakland, Alameda County. I would like to see that. But I also think there needs to be some real accountability, holding people accountable for the fact that they got themselves into this shit show, right? You voted this individual in who you knew was going to do this stuff. And you knew, you just got rid of Chesa Boudin in San Francisco. You knew that's the direction it was going to go. It's like Chicago again with Let's Go Brandon Johnson. The new mayor. All right. We elected him. He's a progressive and he's doing exactly what he said he would do. And it's terrible. and it's not working out for city of Chicago. I should say it's about the same, because Chicago's just been on this downward trajectory, right? And now they're all worked up about having the illegal immigrants. Man, because they're a sanctuary city. Some of the shorts I've been watching about people getting worked up over the illegal immigrants taking over hotel space for the homeless, for local homeless, rolling into town on a big bus and then wrapping around the block at the Roosevelt in New York City. People are like, why are we second-class citizens to these illegal immigrants that just literally rolled into town on a bus after illegally crossing the southern border and are basically, all right, you're illegal, but we're going to stick you on a bus. And would you like to go to LA, Chicago, or New York? Those are your choices today. Which one would you like to go to? And you will literally see news stories where people are like, yeah, I want to go to California. I want to go to California. Somebody else say, I want to go to New York. Kind of depending on what people have in their mind as far as where they want to be, what community they're from, what country they're from, all that stuff goes into play. But so many people, I think, are just like, well, I watched a lot of stuff on TV. If LA is if San Diego, whatever, is any indication of that, I want to go there. They all watched Baywatch, right? The red swimsuits, they're just, I don't need to describe that. But I think I watched like one episode of that show. The bathing suits running down the beach in slow-mo, it wasn't worth the time suck on that show. That was a terrible show. Even if you had David Hasselhoff, that guy, he's an icon, right? He's a legend in his own mind. He's really popular in Germany. I find that really funny. He's a singer. He's got albums out. David Hasselhoff. But, where these folks want to go, and a lot of the folks that are homeless in Chicago, in New York City, in San Francisco, LA, are saying, what about us? And their mayors are screaming, we don't have any more resources. We've used all the resources up. But the shorts I've been watching are people from the community, locals, that are just screaming at these illegal immigrants. And these are supposed to be sanctuary citizens. Go away, go back to where you came from. I mean, just some real hostility. At one point in time, everybody was just all kumbaya with the illegal immigrants. Bring them on, bring them in. And then all of a sudden, resources, you only have so much. And you've got Eric Adams in New York City, we needed to declare emergency. And he's going down to the border, and the mayor, Let's Go Brandon Johnson of Chicago, is saying, I'm going to get down there. I need to really check out and see what's going on. He literally said, I need to assess the situation. All right, big guy, once you do that, then what are you going to do? How you assessing the situation as mayor of Chicago, you assessing the situation down at the southern border. You going to come back and what, you going to hold a press conference? All right, guys, I figured it out. Here's what we got to do. Who's he going to tell that to? Nobody's listening there, dude. Nobody cares what you have to say because you are running a shit show in Chicago. Yeah. Oh, how about that? Well, we don't want to talk about that. But again, it's the residents of Chicago that voted that guy in. And then they're shocked. God, things are not going well. Our guy can't really do anything at all. He holds press conferences and talks about stuff, but they all do, right? And just no forward motion. New York City's the one that I think that one folds pretty quick because you're going to have some massive issues. San Francisco, same deal. You've got a massive budget shortfall. You're going to have to take resources away from something. Everything's going to have to take a whack because you don't have the tax base with the whole work from home and the way that the downtown cores have been emptied out. I had an interesting exchange with somebody that is in Honolulu. And we were talking about what the downtown core of Honolulu looks like right now. And it is hollowed out. just like the downtown core, the financial district of San Francisco, of Seattle, of Portland, of Chicago. So many of these downtowns no longer have the number of people going to work in them because now, this hybrid work deal is 3 days max in the office, another 2. And that's if you can even get 3 days max. And that's the few companies. You've got Amazon here locally. You've got Facebook in the Spring District. That's a district just up the block from me, probably 10 blocks from where I am. You've got Amazon and you've got Facebook that are basically saying 3 days a week, tops. That's what we're going to require our people to do. But so many companies are still 100% remote work because they figured it out. They no longer have to have all this office space. So I was in downtown Honolulu, I don't know, 2007, 2008. I don't spend much time on Oahu, more of a Maui guy if I'm going to go to Hawaii. But it was bustling. There was tons of activity, just like San Francisco was pre-pandemic, right? Just like downtown San Francisco. And we're talking the financial district. That is a little bit to the north and east of the Tenderloin. It's way to the north of Michigan. It's been emptied out because you don't have businesses doing business there. You don't have companies demanding that their employees are there. You've got a ton of work from home. And so all that revenue that basically runs the city, it ain't there. So you've got hundreds of millions of dollars of moving forward budget shortfall. And a lot of this stuff dealing with the illegal immigrants, you're going to have to make some whacks to that too. So moving forward, your bigger cities that have taken on more of the bus load, I think that is going to come to a head much, much quicker. Because like here in Seattle, do we have some illegal immigrants coming? Yeah, they eventually work their way, but we're so damn far north of the border, of the southern border, that it's just not really a thing. I think the city of Tukwila has taken here in Seattle area. That's, call it SeaTac Airport. They are declaring an emergency because they've taken on hundreds of the illegal immigrants there, sanctuary city style. So, because each city can basically just designate, I am a sanctuary city. I want a virtue signal to everybody until the residents get really worked up and say, go home. And that's what you're seeing right now. And I think you're going to see more and more of that because people realize, oh, us being a sanctuary city, that takes away resources from all the rest of us that have been paying taxes here for all of our lives. And we let politicians make some of these decisions for us. And let's do a recall campaign. Recall Eric Adams. Yeah. Now you got to live with it. You got to live with it. You got to live with it. You bought what you paid for. Right? That's the way I see it. All right. Thanks so much for being here. I'm going to go record another podcast. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.